Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far. It's been a busy week with tracking this next winter storm chance for next week, and it's just gotten closer and closer to us. And here we are, Thursday. The time frame of interest is, I would say, Monday into Thursday of next week. Of course, if you're further east, it's a little bit later in that time frame, but there is a couple things we need to watch ahead of this time frame too. The Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast could get a sneaky, I would say, smaller winter storm risk as we are getting into Sunday into Monday. So as we're building up to this time frame that's a little bit later past that time frame, we will speak on that also, and we'll speak a little bit about the temperatures, but our big focus is going to be all the latest and greatest information from overnight into this morning regarding model guidance on the latest about this winter storm risk for next week. And this could be pretty far south, guys, and I'm not talking about south as in Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. Of course, you will have your chances also. I'm talking about, like the I-20 corridor, heck, maybe all the way down to the Gulf Coast line. So we're going to speak on everything in this video. Timestamps will be up. It'll be broken up with South Central U.S. and Southeast and Eastern U.S. So, you're gonna get your state shown in this video. So just bear with me and utilize those timestamps. Jump ahead. Whatever you need to do to get through these videos. I understand not everybody has, 35, 50 minutes to listen to some guy just yap his jaw about the weather. I know people's got stuff to do, but there is timestamps up. And at the very end, we will speak on today's weather. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's speak a little bit about the Climate Prediction Center. This was issued yesterday, and this is the time frame, the 6 to 10 day time frame from the 21st to the 25th of January. And this is about the time frame we're watching for winter weather pretty far south. So as far as temperatures, they're saying, hey, 80% chance of temperatures being below normal. We pretty much know temperatures are going to be below normal. When the Climate Prediction Center starts showing anything, I would say, above 50%, then you're at least going to have a few degrees below average as far as your temperatures for this time frame. But they're going for 70, 80% chance. This is 70, this is 60, this is 50, this is 40. We pretty much know this, and I'm probably going to stop showing this as much as we get over the next 24 hours, especially as this is going to get past the time frame of interest. It's going to be cold leading up to this period too. It's going to start this weekend. Really start tomorrow into Saturday, get all the way into next week. So you look at this, and then you look at the precipitation outlook for the same time period. So precipitation and leaning towards dry up here. So if you click on this, it's a 33% chance of precipitation being below normal. This is a 40% chance. Then you get into this kind of no man's land area. It's it's very exact, 36% chance of precipitation being near normal. So it can lean one way or the other. But once you start to get into the green, 33% chance of precipitation being above normal, and then a 40% chance of it. So you kind of mix match, right? The below average temperature predictions with the above average precipitation predictions. Then, hey, you can get winter weather pretty far south. It's the heart of winter. It's the middle of January, coldest time of the year. It can happen pretty far south. We've seen it happen before, and the setup screams something happening like this once again. So this is the latest from the Climate Prediction Center. Now, I want to give you guys the latest and greatest information from the Winter Weather Outlook, the Weather Prediction Center, the experts at the National Weather Service. So this is the outlook. Make sure I get my days right. So this is from Monday morning through Tuesday morning, day 5 technically. It's kind of like when we're breaking down severe weather, you got the Storm Prediction Center issues, day 1 through, I believe, day 8, I think. It's the same thing with winter weather. So if you live in this green area, this is Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi right here. January the 20th, the morning of, through the morning of January the 21st. If you live in this light green area, they're saying, hey, a 10 to 30% chance. Let's just say it like this. A 10 to 30% chance of accumulating winter weather. Technically, it's the probability of exceeding a 1/4 inch liquid equivalent of sleet and snow, but that probably confuses the mess out of people. If you get a 1/4 inch of liquid equivalent to sleet and snow, you're probably getting some form of accumulating winter weather, whether that's freezing rain, sleet, or snow. So let's leave it at that. So get that 10 to 30% chance of this. Now let's switch it to day 6. This is from Tuesday morning of next week into Wednesday morning of next week. Probabilities increase for certain areas, and of course, it broadens also. So once again, that green, 10 to 30% chance of accumulating winter weather. But you see these splotches right here of dark green, Hattiesburg, including this, just south of Jackson, going towards a 30 to 50% chance of accumulating winter weather. And then check it out. It really, spreads out. Darker green, a larger area. 30 to 50% chance of accumulating winter weather. Sleet, snow, freezing rain, whatever it may be. From central Georgia through the Midlands, then to the low country of South Carolina, into the coastal plains of North Carolina. And then you got the 10 to 30% chance all the way up into southeast VA. And then we go all the way into Wednesday morning into Thursday morning. And we're extending this a little bit further out. We're getting a little bit closer to this. So you get that 10 to 30% chance of accumulating winter weather. So Weather Prediction Center continues to honk the horn at it. Let's start to dive into weather guidance. So weather model guidance. So the first thing we'll speak on is the South Central U.S. This includes states like, pretty much, everywhere you see on your screen, but I know some people are just listening on their headphones or something, but this includes Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Western Tennessee, okay? So the timestamps are up here because I'm going to forget to mention days. I always want to reiterate this. This is like the evening of January 19th is when we're starting this off. Okay, so we start this off, not a whole lot going on, right? We start to move it forward. And first off, let's see if we have the 06Z Euro. It doesn't go all the way out, so we just don't quite have it yet. So we're going to have to stick with the 00Z Euro with this, and maybe we can go back right at the end after we go through all the other model guidance. So we are getting that next run of the Euro coming in, which is in range of our time frame of interest. So Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, we get into Monday morning. Here's snow breaking out across Oklahoma, where Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado meet. And then this energy connects, and then boom, we have some winter weather breaking out. Now, the blue is the snow. The orange you see on your screen, that's going to be sleet. The pink is going to be freezing rain. But don't focus too much on the precipitation types. Just when you see those colors, that's winter weather. I think we're still at that frame where we're not trying to narrow down the details of what's going to fall, but is what's going to fall winter weather, if anything at all. That's mainly the thing we're watching for. So we're getting into Monday evening, January the 20th. We got snow flying around across Texas. We got some wintry mix down here in southern areas of Texas, and we got snow moving into Louisiana. And then, it is snowing in the Gulf. It's snowing in Houston. Houston's right here. It's not very heavy stuff. The darker shades of blue, that's, moderate snow. And then, guys, it's snowing all the way, like I said, in the Gulf. It's pretty wild stuff. It's snowing in Louisiana, southern Louisiana, the Bayou, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and this is like the middle of the night, this coming Monday into Tuesday. And then it gets suppressed. The energy gets bogged down, and it gets bogged down so much that there's a wintry mix on going almost all the way down to Brownsville, Corpus Christi. We're getting into Tuesday morning, and then that's all she wrote. It's not a huge system. And that's why I keep saying this. I'm going to say it multiple times. It might not be a huge system. It might be a big system for very, very far south. Or it could trend more amped up. We know that a lot of times these systems are more juicier, more moisture than what they are modeled. And that's something to keep in mind with this kind of setup. So that's the Euro. We'll try to go back and catch the 06Z Euro here in a second. It's about 90 hours out right now, so not quite in range. So GFS from this morning. Here it comes, getting into Monday morning, nothing. Getting into Tuesday morning, we're getting some moisture bubbling up here, but it's late. Okay, most model guidance already has something ongoing. The GFS operational run is a bit of an outlier. In fact, it finally gets the moisture going like late Tuesday into Wednesday the 22nd. And it just is a late bloomer as far as moisture coming up. Now, by the time we get into Wednesday night, finally it pushes a big chunk of moisture out the Gulf of Mexico. And it starts to meet that cold air, but the cold air is starting to back up now. So we're getting all rain into Texas and Louisiana, and then we get this, winter storm for areas that I've already seen it about 112 times so far this winter. And that's up here in Kansas City, Missouri, Iowa, snowing in Arkansas. And I will say this, the GFS has showed this about 4 runs in a row now since yesterday morning. It doesn't want to get the time frame of interest going, which is right into here. There's just nothing going on, but it's an outlier. I would say. And it's not supported by its ensemble. So don't look at that. If you're living in this, I'm going to say the same thing for the Southeast. Don't look at this and get overly bummed out, because there's more going on that you can't see besides all the pretty colors and pinks and blues and oranges. But the GFS is pretty much a whiff. And sure, I can show you this storm right here as we're getting later in the next work week, but I could say this, there's the potential for another storm later next week. Absolutely. In fact, I would say the chances are higher for another storm later next week. It's just going to be a little bit more amped up. But I'm not buying this yet until other model guidance starts to bite on it. So you continue to push forward, and we look at the Canadian model. The Canadian model has been just consistent as it goes, right? So we get going here, and same thing. We get into Monday morning. There's that light snow. This is definitely going to accumulate up here in the Central High Plains. I mean, Colorado doesn't look like a lot of heavy stuff, but it's going to be so cold. You're going to get a swath of accumulating snow up here. And then once again, the two pieces of energy connect, and then boom, Tuesday morning we get a major winter storm once again on the Canadian, breaking out across Texas, Oklahoma. Blue snow, orange sleet, pink freezing rain, snowing like crazy in Dallas. This would be a big hit for a lot of people. The Canadians kind of, if you're a winter weather fan, it really pleases everybody across the South. It leaves some people hanging, but it really just is a crowd pleaser if you're a winter weather fan. Now, Tuesday midday, this massive winter storm continues to move through Texas, through Louisiana, through Mississippi, through Arkansas. And I mean, what's wild is, it tries to load up more moisture later in the week. In that time frame where the GFS wants a super amped up system where there's no cold air left, I mean, it says, hey, there's going to be plenty of cold air left. This is getting into next Thursday morning, about a week from today. I mean, it's got freezing rain down near the Gulf coastline. So interesting stuff. The Canadians just a reload all next week. So let's look at the UK Met model, which I've said this a couple times over the last few videos. The UK Met and the Euro kind of hang out with one another from what I've heard. I'll be honest, I'm going off what I hear from others with that. But the UK Met, once upon a time, I think for a lot of people, it's still a well-respected model. It's kind of old school, and I'm not sure when the last time it was updated, but the UK Met is really suppressed. It has that wintry weather, and this is pivotal weather, so the output's going to be a little bit different. Has wintry weather breaking out across central, almost said Florida, central Texas. We get into Tuesday morning, we have snow and just a wintry mix breaking out across areas of Texas, almost the entire state. And then, I mean, it's so cold that we're getting just a wintry mess down to Corpus Christi, just about down to Houston. This is getting into like the Lake Charles area. We start to get a winter storm that moves into Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and it's super suppressed. Almost said super depressed. But snow tries to make it all the way up to southern Arkansas, but it is just very bogged down, and then it turns the corner once it gets into the eastern U.S., which I'll show here in a second. But man, it is a southern special. As we get into Monday night, Tuesday into Tuesday night, and then it heads on out. So let's try to go back to the Euro really quick, and let's see if this is in range. And it looks like the Euro is a complete miss. So Euro is suppressed, doesn't show anything. So it continues to be just dry. And listen, this is the fail mode if you're a winter weather fan. It's cold and dry. In fact, it's cold enough, but the moisture is just hanging out down here in the Gulf. So it's actually cold enough to snow deep down in Texas. I would say I'm almost to the point, and it seems like temperatures always become a problem, and I've said that before, but I'm almost to the point where I would say I'm more worried about suppression for winter weather fans, including myself, than cold air issues. Okay, but it is a miss, and I'm not sure what it goes on and does for the Southeast. Maybe it turns the corner. I'm not sure, but based off that look, I can tell I don't think it does. So the Euro ensemble, the Euro operational run is a miss. Now we start to look at, say, and I'm not sure if we have no, we don't. So if we look at the OOZ Euro ensemble run, and remember, this makes up about 51 members, throws them all together, averages it up, and then creates a number. It's kind of like if you put 10 numbers together, they're all different numbers, and average them all up together, just like when you're in school here. But you're getting into Sunday, you're getting into Monday, getting into Tuesday. You notice that the snowfall average begins to light up down here. So, and let's just go on and take it all the way out to about next Friday morning. So about 8 days from now. So you got around a half an inch to an inch snowfall average here in northern Texas, Oklahoma. Spikes here in Colorado from all the energy diving down with the trough. And I definitely think, Denver's going to get accumulating snow. Maybe Amarillo once again after getting that big winter storm several days back. But you still got an inch to 2 inch snowfall average down here in southeastern Texas, Louisiana, getting into southwestern areas of Mississippi. So still a solid snowfall mean. Now you look at the latest GFS ensemble. Okay, and remember, keep this in mind. Remember, the GFS shows nothing for the time frame of interest, which is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the Southern Plains. But watch what the GFS ensemble does, which once again blends a bunch of members together, creates a mean, creates an average, and it says, hey, you can tell there's obviously a bunch of members that pump out something. And, there it is. There's obviously members that show big winter storms too, because that's a pretty spiked up snowfall average right here. And this is only going out to Wednesday morning. Remember, the operational run shows absolutely nothing. So, a lot of people want to just look at these pretty runs and say, it doesn't show anything again. We're losing the storm. And listen, sometimes the operational runs are kind of the precursor of a trend in a certain way, I will say. But this is between now and the time period of interest. You have a few to almost several inch snowfall average down here in the same kind of footprint area as the Euro ensemble. Now I want you to watch this area in Arkansas as it spikes as we get past Wednesday of next week. That's probably picking up on that secondary push of moisture that the actual GFS operational run is showing. So something interesting for sure. Now we look at the ice average. I would say the good news is we've trended a lot less aggressive on the Euro ensemble as far as ice. Maybe this is because not as many members are showing something, but the highest I'm seeing is maybe over 1/10 of an inch of ice. So this has trended a little bit further down, but it could trend right back up. And I'm going to give you my opinions on some things right at the end of this update too. So, hang on with me. You're probably wondering, well, you're just showing me model guidance. What's your opinion, Mitch? I'm going to give you my opinion. Let's talk about the eastern and southeastern U.S. So we're going to start this a little different. We're going to work our way through it. We're going to start off for Saturday morning because there's a system of interest, technically two, before the main potential show. So this is Saturday morning, January, here in the next 2 days. We got a big washout moving across the deep south. There's enough of cold air on top of this where we're going to get some snow in the Great Lakes region, southern Ontario, the interior northeast. And then that moves through. And then we're going to try to pop a weak low right when the cold air boundary is coming down. So low pressure tries to develop right in here. This is around Sunday, January 19th. Timestamps are up here and then right here. And boom, it tries to break out some snow across, even northern North Carolina, the southern Alps. We got northwest flow kind of action here. And then in the southern Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, maybe all the way up into southern New England, gets this band of light to moderate snow. And that could certainly add up. And then it wants to show some kind of swing around moisture all the way into the Piedmont, the Carolinas, which the GFS really shows that. And I'll show you that here in a second. And then it heads on out. Now, the Euro from overnight, here it comes, breaking out some snow across southern sections of Mississippi, breaking out some snow across southern sections of Alabama. This is getting into Monday night into Tuesday. And it looks like it's about to turn the corner. This is Tuesday morning, January the 21st, and it doesn't quite do it, but it's enough to give the eastern Carolinas, especially North Carolina, a big winter storm. I wouldn't say a big, but... And then it does try to do something just like the GFS with a system behind it, and it is amped up. So there's already some moping and groaning about, hey, oh gosh, the Euro is folding to the GFS and it's picking up on this system rather than the one before. I've always kind of said, over the last couple of days that I think there is the potential for another system behind the time frame of interest. But listen, that storm doesn't have anything to do with this potential. Nothing. There is all energy, all connection out there, but it don't have anything to do with one another. It's so cold in this, it's snowing in Florida, North Florida. So I want to back this up, and now I want to look at the 06Z, because I just forgot that we have that in range now. only goes 144 hours out. So same thing, wash out for the weekend. There's some snow, a little bit of a wintry mix maybe from the mountains. That moves on out. And then we watch this coastal low, which on the 06Z has trended snowier, actually. So, the latest 06Z Euro has brought more snow into the DC, central, northern VA, West Virginia. And man, look at this. Look at this run this morning. Sunday evening, showing a quick hitting winter weather event. I almost want to call it a winter storm. I mean, even northern sections of North Carolina, getting us some snow. DC, this would be a swath of accumulating snow. This makes it all the way up into, look at this low, 1,004 millibar low. A swath of accumulating snow for the Delmarva, New Jersey, New York City, southeastern PA. And then it even deepens. The low gets all the way to 1,000 millibar low, and this turns into a quick hitting winter storm late Sunday night into Monday morning for southern New England. Something to watch for sure, right? Now, what about the time frame of interest? We're getting into Tuesday morning. Where is it? We're getting into Wednesday. It is a total whiff. Matter of fact, it's almost cold enough in like central Florida to have a wintry mix, but the latest Euro is a complete whiff in the time frame of interest. Complete whiff. So, that's something to watch. And that is the fail mode. I think the fail mode is more so cold and dry over temperature issues for once in this setup. But I want you to keep in mind, the Euro inside 100 hours is trending northwest. You go back and you look at the run, say, yesterday, 06Z for this. It still looked good, but it's already ticked further kind of west, I would say more so. So, model guidance likes to trend northwest. Sometimes it never does. But just keep that in mind. Now, the GFS, same thing. Big rainy washout for this weekend. Then we get into the time frame of interest, and the GFS goes crazy. In fact, it wants to bring snow all the way down to the Triad of North Carolina Sunday evening, and it drops some heavy snow. All the way into like East Central Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey, and turns into a pretty decent event for the I-95 corridor, even east, like to the coastal areas, New Jersey, Jersey Shore, Long Island, southern New England. I'm telling you, this is a storm to watch. And listen, I think this is a good example of it. The GFS has trended northwest with this. So is it going to trend northwest with the next system? But, this is a nice system. And then we move past it. And the GFS, just doesn't show anything with the system behind it. It wants to bring this amped up, weird looking storm behind it later next week. And listen, there's a possibility of that happening. But listen, I can tell you one thing. We're not pulling for this. We're pulling for the time frame behind this. You don't want this to happen. This is gonna move in when the cold air is probably delayed. It's not delayed. The cold air is heading on out, and you're just going to get just an ugly mess. So we're definitely, I'm not pulling for this. Now, there's probably people in Tennessee, Kentucky, up into the Northeast pulling for it, but this is not going to work out for a lot of people for the South. Now, the Canadian washout weekend, it's really aggressive further west with this Sunday into Monday thing. Like, it has the snow way off to the west, and it actually struggles to be cold enough for the I-95 corridor. Now, the Canadian just continues to say, hey, we're full send ahead. This is getting into Tuesday midday. This is getting into Tuesday night. We got this low rider, beefed up southern slider for the deep south, and it is snowing. In the blue, the pink is the freezing rain, the sleet's in the orange. And it doesn't even turn a corner. It is just a southern special in that time period of interest, the middle of the night, Tuesday night and Wednesday morning of next week, and just gives a lot of snow for a lot of people that have not seen much. And then it tries to do something else. Like the Canadian has a cold air bias, I will say. So I don't like to spend a whole lot of time on it, but it is model guidance, and sometimes it does get it right. But the Canadian wants to throw some more winter weather after this, and so no point in talking much on that because that is an outlier on the more wintry side. Now, what about the UK Met? Remember, it was very suppressed in the south central U.S. Well, this is getting into Tuesday afternoon. We got snow. It's Tuesday evening. We got snow breaking out. It's Tuesday evening, the 21st, breaking out over southern Alabama. We got snow. This is just a huge winter storm. This is the middle of the night. Same thing. middle of the night, Tuesday into Wednesday morning. This is a big winter weather event across the southeast. The pink is just a wintry mix. Man, it's a loud airplane over my house. But listen, the UK Met is just a beautiful run for southeast people. Now, people up in Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, you'll hate it if you're a winter weather fan. But I mean, this just brings just a southern Alabama, Georgia, Carolina crusher. I mean, this is a swath of really heavy snow, and then it gets all the way up into North Carolina. I mean, it is just snowing like crazy in my neck of the woods. And we look right here, and, let's keep it going. Turns the corner, boom, all the way up into southern Maryland, southeastern VA as we're getting into Wednesday, and then it heads on out, and it never turns the corner. Now, what about the Euro ensemble? So, I don't know if we have the 06Z in yet. We do, but it's just not done running. So, I don't even know if the latest 06Z Euro is going to support that super dry run off its operational run. What I can tell you with the Euro ensemble from last night, which was a very dry run too, here it comes. There's that signal right in here for some snow in the mid-Atlantic, maybe even upper portions of North Carolina. Let's actually make it wider here. I don't know why we're so close in. So let's back it up. Like boom, there's the I-95 corridor. You see how you go from hardly nothing to like an inch to an inch and a half snow average, from DC all the way up to Boston. Hey, that's that system you watch for Sunday into Monday. And then here comes the southern area of interest. You see how it lights up down there? One thing with the Euro is it almost looks like more like a Miller A type setup. It shows snow down here for Louisiana, southern sections of Mississippi. It kind of backs off in Alabama. And then the snowfall average mean, which remember the Euro ensemble makes up about 51 members, blends them all together, really increases once you get into the Carolinas and even Georgia. So you have over a 2 to 3 inch snowfall mean into areas of the Carolinas. And then watch how it increases up into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast too. You see, boom. So you can tell there's some members that make it all the way up and grind up the coastline. So that's a pretty impressive average. And you can see where it's trying to pick up on something behind this too, as the numbers begin to spike back to the west. So what about the GFS ensemble? Keep in mind, just like I mentioned, and let's make this the eastern U.S. Let's back this up a little bit. Okay, here comes the area of interest. Boom, it has a 2 to 3 inch snowfall average in Virginia, the Delmarva, and it's even into the Long Island, a couple inch snowfall average all the way up into southern New England. So that's picking up on that Sunday to Monday time frame, that 19th into the 20th. And then I want you to keep in mind as we move forward, the GFS shows absolutely nothing on its operational run. Nothing. What about its ensemble run? It says no. There's definitely many members that show something. You see how it lights up down there in the south? So there's still many members that are hitting, and there's a lot of members that are hitting pretty far south too. Now, one thing is once you get up to Atlanta, the Greenville, Spartanburg, the Charlotte area, you obviously can tell you don't have as many members. You have under an inch snowfall. I mean, you get down into central Georgia, central South Carolina, and increases. So something to watch here. And then you can see how some members show up for that back end stuff too. There's that southern footprint of snow down there. Now, I want to show you also, say, the Canadian ensemble. And I'm just going to focus in on the south. The Canadian ensemble is just going for an outrageous snowfall average. It wants to, for example, from Columbia to Augusta, Georgia to Florence, it wants over a 6-inch snowfall mean. And I mean, look back there in Louisiana, over a 6 to 7 inch snowfall average. And it's just a ridiculous. The Canadians just full send on this, and it has not let it go. It is amped up. So honestly, I would say, hey, if everything else trends more amped up and the Canadian does not flip flop, you can say you can tip your cat to the Canadian and its ensemble guidance, which we don't do much. But Canadian is model guidance, but that is a hefty signal right there. Now, as far as ice, I forgot to pull up the graphics, so I'm gonna have to do this on the fly here. As far as ice on the, say, excuse me, the Euro ensemble, it's still a hefty signal now. It's decreased, but I mean it's actually moved a little bit further south, it looks like. So I mean, we have over a 1/4 inch ice, freezing rain average here in the far northern counties of Florida, southeast Georgia, over a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. But it's dropped off for like Columbia up to Charlotte and then North Carolina into Atlanta, which is good. Nobody wants freezing rain. Freezing rain is depressing. I was quickly reminded of that last Friday when we got it here at my neck of the woods. So that's an update on that, guys. You know, the Euro ensemble, as far as the 6Z, it's still running and it's just starting to get into range here. So I don't know what it's going to show. But you know, this is pretty much the end of the update. So the last thing I'll say before we get into temperatures is, what is Mitch's take on this? Well, I've said this for the last few days. You like the signal to be suppressed. But your next question is, well, what point do we want to see this trending back north? Well, I would say you probably need it to start trending back north by about Saturday. If you get into Sunday, and definitely into Monday, if you get into Sunday, guys, and this thing is still looking very dry, and the one thing I will definitely say is, if the ensemble guidance trends drier over the next 48 hours, 72 hours, then you might be then I would say you're probably trending in the wrong direction for winter weather fans. And that's something to watch. That is a fail mode. But I would say, in my opinion, that's a better fail mode to deal with than failing with temperature issues. So we'll have to see what happens. It's great as the model agreement's been, and listen, it's still good. It's not going to just stay nice and clean all the way up to the potential storm. So just keep that in mind. I think that it'll come back north based off my experience. And we really haven't lost the storm, guys. It's just the operational runs are not showing flashy runs. The Canadian run is, UK Med run is, but a lot of other model guidance is dry. But let's keep going here. So the temperatures, I won't stay long on this. Listen, we know that as we're getting into Saturday, you can see this is the Euro ensemble too. This isn't one operational run. It blasts cold air in. I mean, these are high temperature Saturday. One last warm day for the deep south, 60s and 70s and rain. And then boom, it starts to move this cold front in. And then we get into Monday, and then the entire country is just about in the freezer. Sub-freezing high temperatures almost as far south as the Gulf coastline. By the time we get into Tuesday, this is Tuesday morning low temperature. We could have a winter storm going across the deep south in this time frame. And then, I mean, these are like around high temperatures next Tuesday. Sub-freezing highs deep down the south. I mean, highs could be in the 20s pretty far south. Pretty wild stuff. And then we get into Wednesday morning, probably has the potential to be one of the coldest mornings in the eastern U.S. But, I mean, sub-freezing highs for a lot of people. And then do we moderate? That's a big question. Do we begin to moderate after we get into late next week? I think we do. I haven't looked much past the later portion of next week, but yeah. All right, so we look at conditions right now. We have a little bit of a clipper moving through, bringing some light to moderate snow across areas of Ohio, PA, West Virginia. And then we just got some moisture hanging out down here in North Florida. Everybody else in the central and western U.S. is pretty quiet. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We do have winter storm warnings up in West Virginia, western Maryland, the Allegheny Mountains, and PA, even winter weather advisories in Pittsburgh and other areas of Ohio, including Cleveland and West Virginia, for this clipper energy. This is going to produce a few to several inches of snow depending on your location. The lake effect snow warnings have been dropped. We have winter weather advisories across the Rockies. And so that's what's going on right now. There's no real risk of thunderstorms, and as far as excessive rainfall, let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's no risk of excessive rainfall, so nothing to worry about with that. The southeast, we're going to continue to deal with this pesky rain for a few more hours across Florida, and it could hang around for the southern sections of Florida also. But everybody else in the southeast, you don't really have to deal with anything over the next 24 hours. Now, the northeast and the mid-Atlantic, this snow will continue to take over West Virginia, a good chunk of PA, and even areas where you don't have winter weather advisories. You're probably going to get some snow flurries, snow showers kind of drifting around the state of PA into New Jersey, southern tier of New York, and then might even get some snow showers all the way down into maybe some bursts of snow into the Delmarva, the D.C., Baltimore area. We're going to continue just to get northwest flow stuff in West Virginia. We're going to get some snow showers probably drifting around, maybe even some ocean effect or ocean enhanced snow off in southeast Mass. Very possible. And then by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, might be some quieter conditions out here. But definitely we'll get a little bit of snow up here. For sure. Several inches of snow in West Virginia, a few inches of snow in western PA, eastern Ohio. And just spotty accumulations are possible up here in New York. And then, New Jersey, a few tenths of an inch of snow is possible, including Delaware. So, South Central U.S., nothing really to speak on, guys. It's quiet. We're going to have to continue to watch this area for a winter storm here in the coming days, but some rain showers could greet you guys tomorrow morning, but outside of that, nothing to really speak on. And then the north central U.S., some lake effect snows will continue in the central to eastern UP of Michigan, a little lake-to-lake connection to lower Michigan. We'll get some bursts of snow throughout the state today, and then we'll have kind of a northerly clipper that brings kind of a finger of moisture down here into the UP. Could bring a swath of accumulating snow into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, into mid-morning tomorrow. So the western U.S., man, it's quiet, guys. I mean, we'll get some moisture trying to move into Montana probably late tonight. Maybe a little moisture down in Arizona. Maybe some snow showers in the higher elevations. New Mexico, quiet though. Temperatures, it's warming up, definitely. You had this quick blast of cold air. But we're getting a little quick, it's a little quick thaw before the Arctic hammer drops down these areas. I mean, you're spiking all the way up above freezing, all the way deep into the 40s into Iowa. I mean, so a nice quick warm up, but it's not going to last long. So get out there, do some things, and it's not that bad across the south. Temperatures are warming up across the west too. So that's all I got, guys. We'll continue to check this out. It's full send ahead with the videos. We'll continue to pump out the updates. Don't get discouraged if you're a winter weather fan. We're going to have flip-flopping. People get so emotionally involved in this. And listen, I do too. It's just more of an internal thing. I don't speak out loud on it besides what I tell you guys in the videos. But in a perfect world, we would have perfect trends all the way up to the verification of the storm. But we don't live in a perfect world, right? And I've never seen that happen. Ever, even in some of the best snowstorms. For example, one of my, and I didn't follow model guidance back then, but I've heard many stories. One of the things I remember the most is 2010 February, where we got just a classic all snowstorm in areas of the southeast. My area got 8 inches of snow. We just got pure snow for about 12 hours straight on a Friday night. It was wonderful. For my locals tuning in from South Carolina, you probably remember it. I was a senior in high school. What people don't realize is we lost that storm in model guidance for a few days. I mean, the low was all the way deep in the Gulf of Mexico, like in Cuba. And then it just trended further and further and further north in the days to come. And then boom, we got what we got. So model guidance continues to do that. Even in 2025 now, we still get that northwest trend. And listen, it happened with this past winter storm. For example, Oklahoma is a great example of this. Amarillo, Texas. Oklahoma got way more snow than they were originally forecast in this last winter storm. And guess where Oklahoma was? The northern edge of the storm. Same thing with Arkansas. So it happens. That's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll do it again tonight. God bless.